Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now January 27th of 2023. Not only are we getting closer to The Mandalorian Season 3 on March 1st, but we're also getting very much closer to the Ahsoka Tano series. That's all set and ready to debut by this summer. They're aiming for a July release date, or a release date window, so to speak, as of right now. Could be earlier. They're trying to decide on whether it's going to be June or July. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now that brings us to exactly what is really going on with Jon and Dave when it comes to their ambitions, when it comes to their goals and their dreams that are about to come true for, of course, themselves and for the fans around the globe. Now, one thing that is so truly inspiring about this is exactly what Favreau had to say about bringing Star Wars to the cinemas again, and specifically what they talk about every single day, what's in the planning stages, and what is actually going on with, of course, adapting something very special to head over to the cinemas, and how it's going to be treated as a new sequel trilogy in a sense. So let's tap right into all of this. Now, we already know that Jon and Dave have been very busy guys. They are working around the clock. They're really trying to bring Star Wars back to, of course, the basics, back to bare bones, to what fans really love about it all. And that's all that really matters, right? They really want to make sure that Star Wars is going to thrive and survive and just really bring a lot of joy within the fans around the world. So let's tap into all of this and exactly what he actually had to say and what it really means for Star Wars coming back to the cinemas and more. Now, with Skeleton Crew going through a lot of production issues and problematic situations by Kathleen Kennedy and Disney trying to save the show, both Jon and Dave are preoccupied with their work on new Star Wars TV shows. However, in a recent interview with Jon Favreau, he went on to talk about some exciting things to fans. Jon stated the following to the fandom: "What myself and Dave have been talking about every single day with George and those over at Disney leading everything is how we could create a new sequel trilogy or a series of films set after episode 6 that would adapt some of the characters that we explored in The Mandalorian on the big screen. This is something that we are working on every day and putting the pieces together again, and it's looking better and better every month toward reaching that goal. Everyone at Disney is on board for something like this, and me and Dave already have extensive eye-opening ideas for the fandom and this wonderful community. It's going to be brilliant. We have so many great conversations that I really can't go into right now, but it's truly going to be amazing once we get things going." Now, I want to just pause here for 1 second. Now, this without a doubt is referencing what we talked about a couple of weeks ago of what's really happening between Favreau, Filoni, Lucas, and Bob Iger, the Disney board members, etc., on creating a technical new sequel trilogy, quote-unquote, that is going to extend the Skywalker saga, not in the future per se, but in between the existing sequel trilogy and the original trilogy. Basically, a sequel trilogy that's taking place before the already existing one, if that makes sense. So that's basically their game plan. Jon and Dave want to create their own sequel trilogy, quote unquote, and bring that into the cinemas. And you know what? This is a very interesting marketing move because though it won't be called episodes 7, 8, and 9, I understand that. It won't be episodic format. They are going to still treat it as an extension of the Skywalker saga. It's not just going to focus on Din Djarin and Grogu and stuff like that. They want to keep the dynamic of the Skywalkers in play, and how a lot of the mythology is going to be a big factor in storytelling for these Mandoverse movies. And again, like I say, Jon Favreau even talked about this years ago when Mando Season 1 first dropped, that he would love to make Mandalorian movies, so to speak. And that was shot down by Kathleen Kennedy at the time when she had more creative power, because she felt that that wouldn't work on the big screen at the time because it was so new. Now, this works because you have established characters mixed in with the new. You have characters coming in like Ezra, Thrawn, Sabine, Hera Syndulla, Ahsoka, Luke, Grogu, Din Djarin now, and a lot of those characters, and how John and Dave are pushing them to be actually told on the big screen. The biggest obstacle is, will fans go to the theaters? That's the biggest obstacle, right? So, on top of this, separate from what Favreau stated, this alludes to 3 Mandalorian movies that will be treated as an extension of the Skywalker saga to bring characters like Luke, Ahsoka, Ezra, Thrawn, Sabine, and others in there, as well as Din and Grogu on the big screen with a very high budget to enjoy all of these stories in the cinemas. Now, this is Chapek's plan, of course, initially, to actually create a new sequel trilogy that got pretty much transferred over to Bob Iger, and how he's now also allowing it to happen, and to have endless possibilities due to a higher budget that they wouldn't have been able to do with just TV shows. So that's another thing, is that Jon Favreau wants to explore things that could not be done on a lower budget, that could only be done on a budget that belongs on a major blockbuster film. And they want to do that. They don't want to make these movies small-scale movies. They want to actually make these Mandoverse movies, or these Mandalorian trilogy movies, very high budget, very rich in quality, and really attracting a lot of fans to make it blockbuster-esque. And that really speaks a lot. Now, they have been creating a lot of notes, a lot of things like that and the like for these Mandalorian movies that will be treated as a new sequel trilogy. That's what John and Dave are treating it as right now. And that really does speak volumes, because it's going to extend the Skywalker saga. It's going to tell a lot of new tales of Luke and stuff like that, and Ahsoka. And on the other end of the spectrum, it's going to tell new tales about the bounty hunters, like Boba Fett, Din Djarin, and of course even Fennec Shand. You know, stuff like that is going to be told on a separate scale. So basically the structure of this trilogy, this new sequel trilogy that they have in mind, is one side of the story will be mythology based, the other side of the story will be more bounty hunter based. It kind of gives you a very diverse way of storytelling to attract all Star Wars fans. If you're into the Jedi and the Force and stuff like that, that's what Luke and Ahsoka, as well as Ezra and Sabine, are there for. Then you have, of course, the bounty hunter side of things, with Boba Fett, Fennec, Din Djarin, and more. So, I think this is a great move on their end to not only extend the Mandalorian universe onto the big screen, but to also treat it as a continuation of the Skywalker saga, as a continuation of what the fans grew up with, because it's going to include characters like Luke primarily. Anyways, this is a really good opportunity for them to really kind of make a name for themselves, and to really kind of get new fans as well. So drop a comment below, fill me in on what you guys think about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.